Good morning, sir.
May I start? May I start now?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So today we will discuss on labor law, subject code MBA 401 oblique MBA 402, and I will address today the remaining portion of Gratuity Act, which came into force in the year 1972. So in our previous class, we have already discussed the applicability of the Gratuity Act as well as the calculation of length of surface. So today we will cover the remaining portion of this act. The first is, what is the eligibility? When an employee become eligible to get the gratuity from the employer. So this is very, very important provision. You can note down it. What is the eligibility condition of an employee in order to get gratuity under the Gratuity Act 1972? The condition is that employee needs to have at least 5 full years of service. I'm repeating again. Employee needs to have at least 5 full years of service without any discontinuation, without any interruption. So I have already discussed in our previous class how to compute the continuity of the total service period for the employee who are working in the mines or who are working elsewhere except mines, right? So the continuous 5-year service is the eligibility condition to get the gratuity from the employer as per the Gratuity Act 1972, right? So the second thing is, when the gratuity will be paid to an employee, when the gratuity will be paid to an employee. That means when an employee can claim gratuity from the employer. This is also very, very important thing that you have to note down. The question is, when the gratuity will be paid to an employee as per this act. Number one, when the employee is eligible for superannuation. I'm repeating this. When an employee is eligible for superannuation, right? So what is the exact meaning of superannuation? There is some sort of difference between superannuation and the retirement, right? In case of the government employee, the retirement is fixed, but in the private employment, the terms and conditions of employment is fixed by the employer. Suppose in our case, the retirement age is 65 years. But in other case, who are working in private sector, there is no hard and fast rule, right? So it will vary from one organization to other organization. Suppose in one organization, the superannuation period or the terms of employment is for 58 years. In another organization, it is 56 years. So when a particular employee will complete, that is 56 years of his or her age, then it is called superannuation. And what is retirement? In case of the retirement age is predetermined and everyone knows it, right? So the first condition, when the gratuity will be payable, the first is when an employee reaches at the superannuation stage, or we can say that employee is eligible for superannuation. When an employee is eligible for superannuation, then that employee is also eligible for gratuity, right? And the second is when an employee retires from an organization. I have already told you what is retirement age. So after successful completions of service, when an employee retires from any organization, then he or she is eligible to get gratuity from the employer. These are the two eligibility conditions, and other two eligibility conditions are also there. One is when the employee tenders his resignation and the employer accepts the resignation. Suppose you have tendered your resignation to a particular employer, but the employer has not accepted it, then it is not called as resignation. Resignations means when the employer will accept your letter and accordingly you will be relieved, right? So in case of the resignation, you will get one certificate from your employer, and this certificate is basically called as release order. So when you are receiving a release order from your employer, then it is called as resignation. Otherwise, you cannot say it as resignation. The third is when the employee gives his resignation letter to the employer, and consequently the employer accepts the resignation and the employer is giving you the release order. In that case, you are also eligible to get gratuity. Right. And the fourth is when an employee passes away, dies, or an employee has become disabled due to accident. Obviously, the accident arising out of and in the course of employment as per the Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. We have already covered this act before. So if an employee has become disabled due to accident or employee has become sick, right? In that case, the gratuity is to be given. Now, generally the question arises, when employee passes away, then who will get this gratuity? Obviously, the legal heir or the person nominated by the employee, right? Suppose you have nominated someone. So if an employee passes away, then the nominee will get this gratuity from the employer, right? And if the employee has not nominated anyone, then the legal heir is entitled to get the gratuity from the employer. Sometimes the situations may be like that. The legal heir is a minor. Remember it. The legal heir is a minor. Suppose the legal heir's age is 14 years. He has not attained the age of 18. So in that case, the gratuity amount, it will be dealt with the controlling authority under this act. Controlling authority. And generally, who is the controlling authority under Gratuity Act 1972? You must be knowing that Assistant Labor Commissioner, ALC, Assistant Labor Commissioner acts as a controlling authority. And when the minor will be attaining the age of 18 years, then this is the responsibility of the controlling authority to hand over the entire gratuity amount with interest. Gratuity amount with interest to that minor. Clear? So the discussion is gratuity, when the gratuity will be paid. The answer is gratuity is eligible when an employee is eligible for superannuation or when the employee retires from an organization, or when an employee rejoins the organization, or when the employee has become disabled due to accident, or the employee has become sick, or the employee passes away. If the employee passes away or if the employee dies, in that case, the nominated person, or if there is no nominated person, then the legal heir, and if the nominated person or the legal heir is a minor, then the controlling authority will look after this matter, and when the nominated person or the legal heir will be attaining 18 years of age, then this is the responsibility of the controlling authority, which is basically known as the Assistant Labor Commissioner, ALC, under this act, will give the entire amount with interest to the nominated or legal heir of the deceased employee. Right. So the next point of discussion is computation of gratuity. This is also very, very important thing, and you will listen minutely how the gratuity will be computed under this act. You can also note down if you have a copy with you. Gratuity equal to, you may note down, gratuity equal to last drawn salary. Last drawn salary divided by 26, and whatever the figure we are getting, it will be multiplied by 15. Again, I am sharing last drawn salary of an employee. It will be divided by 26, because generally in a month there are 4 Sundays. So 4 Sundays will be excluded. So we will consider 26 working days. Therefore, in the formula, it is written last drawn salary divided by 26. Whatever the amount will be getting, it will be multiplied by 15. So this is called 15 days salary. 15 days salary. Clear? So this is the fixed portion of the formula. It will not change. And this figure will be multiplied by number of years of service. Suppose your service period is 14 years. So it will be multiplied by 14. Suppose your service period is 14 years and 5 months, then it will be multiplied by 14. But if your service period is 14 years and 7 months, that means more than 6 months, then it will be multiplied by 15. Right. So 6 months or more than 6 months period will be treated as 1 year. Clear? So the entire formula will be last drawn salary divided by 26 into 15 into number of years of service. Number of years of service. Now the question is, how last drawn salary of an employee will be computed? The question is, how the last drawn salary of the employee will be computed. Here, the law says that when a particular employee is retiring or giving resignation or passes away, anything may be, it depends upon the situation. Any situations may be like that. In that case, the preceding 10 months salary will be taken. Preceding 10 months salary will be taken in order to compute the average salary. So in a simple language, we can say that 10 months average salary will be considered as last drawn salary, right? Suppose one employee retires on November 2019. Listen minutely. One employee retires on the month of November 2019. In this case, last drawn salary will be the average salary of preceding 10 months. So if you proceed from November, then October, right? In this way, we'll go up to January. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So these are the preceding 10 months from November 2019. So whatever the salary the particular employee has received from January to October, that is 10 months salary, will be added, and after that it will be divided by 10. So this salary, this average salary, will be considered for the computation purpose, and it is known as last drawn salary, right? This is not like that, whatever the salary you are getting in the last month before the retirement. No, previous 10 months average salary will be considered, and it is known as last drawn salary. And when you are computing it, then here the salary means your basic salary plus dearness allowance or any commission on sales. If the particular employee is involved in selling activity, then that particular employee might be receiving various types of commission on the basis of his or her sales performance. Right. So it will be also added. So generally the questions may be like that. What do you mean by salary for the computation of gratuity under the Gratuity Act 1972? Here your answer is, under the Gratuity Act, salary means basic salary plus dearness allowance plus any commission on sales. Right. So in this way, we can compute the total amount of gratuity payable to an employee. Whatever the gratuity will be payable to an employee. Just I am giving you one example. Suppose 10 months average salary is 10,000. Suppose. And the total service period of a particular employee is 30 years. So what will be his total amount of gratuity? So what I'm saying, the salary, average salary per month is 10,000. Here average means preceding 10 months average. Suppose this is 10,000. And the total service period is 30 years. So how the calculations will be done? The 10,000 divided by 26, it will be multiplied by 15. Whatever the amount we will get, 10,000 by 26. If we divide 10,000 by 26, then we'll get one particular figure. And this figure will be multiplied by 15. Then again it will be multiplied by 30 years of service. Then we can get the total amount of gratuity. Now the question is, what is the highest limit of gratuity? Highest limit of gratuity, you can note down. The highest limit of gratuity is 20 lakhs. Initially it was 10 lakhs, but now it is 20 lakhs. And whatever the amount of gratuity and particular employee will be receiving, it is tax free. Clear? It is your income, but no tax will be levied on the gratuity amount. Right? Next thing is, when the gratuity will be payable. Suppose a particular employee has retired in the month of March 2020. A particular employee retired on 31st March, suppose 31st March 2020. In this case, the employer must pay the gratuity to that particular employee within 30 days. That means within April, within 30th April, the gratuity must be paid. Right. And what is the mode of payment? Obviously, the mode of payment is either bank draft or check, or you may also give in the form of cash. Generally, cash is not given, but there is no restrictions in the law. As the amount is bigger, in that case, the employer will give you check or demand draft. Clear? So when the gratuity is payable, now your answer is the gratuity amount is payable within 30 days. Within 30 days. Clear? Now, when the gratuity will be forfeited, it is not necessary that all employee, after rendering his minimum 5 years of service, he can claim gratuity. No, it is not the guaranteed amount. So, what is the ground where the gratuity can be forfeited? You will not be getting gratuity from your employer. The situation is due to violence. Due to violence. Due to your disorderly conduct. Suppose one particular employee involved in riotous activities, communal fight, moral turpitude, or a particular employee has destroyed the property of an organization, misappropriations of cash. So, if a particular employee has done this type of serious misconduct, then the employer may forfeit your gratuity. Clear? So, in this act, there is a particular provisions relating to forfeiture of gratuity. When the gratuity will be forfeited by the employee. So whatever the grounds I have mentioned right now, you will try to remember this. If a particular employee has been engaged in some riotous activities, communal fight, case of moral turpitude, disorderly behavior, violence, destroying the property of an organization, misappropriation of cash. So many grounds are there where the employer can forfeit your gratuity. And the last provision is that is the provisions of penalty. If an employer, although the employee is eligible, but the employer has not given the gratuity within 30 days of the gratuity payable to a particular employee. So our provision says that it is clearly mentioned over there, the imprisonment will be there, imprisonment of the employer, and it will be ranging from 6 months to 2 years. Imprisonment will be there, and it has been mentioned under Gratuity Act 1972. So these are the important provisions under the Gratuity Act, and you can also follow whatever the notes have been provided by me. Then you can also get the detailed provisions of Gratuity Act 1972. So in the next class, I will address on Trade Union Act 1926. So thank you very much for being with me. Thank you. Stay home. Stay safe.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.